projects being implemented throughout the country. Honorable Speaker, the success of the model of the Constituency Development Fund has been linked to the bottom-up approach because the projects for the National Government Constituency Fund are projects that touch the communities, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, this is a very good initiative, and I want to urge the members of Parliament, because a majority of these projects go directly to the local level and to help the local communities. I want to laud the members of Parliament, and I want to reiterate and say, if you go across our constituencies, Honorable Speaker, you can be able to account what the National Government Constituency Fund has done in this country, as opposed to the other funds that go to the constituencies. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the committee, and I want to urge the honorable members to support this committee so that at the end of the day, Honorable Speaker, the public resources that are given using this avenue can be properly utilized. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I second.
Very well. Honorable members, I now propose the question that this House adopts the report of the Decentralized Funds Accounts Committee on its consideration of the reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements for the National Government Constituencies Development Fund for the 12 constituencies in Kakamega County for the financial years 2013-2014, 2014-2015, 2015-2016, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 27th July 2023. Now let's have some people have a bite on this, and I'll follow the list. Number one is Moses Malulu Inen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for getting me this chance to say something about this. Malava is one of the constituencies that the committee look at the reports. I want to thank the committee for the good work. It's really indeed good. And also to appreciate for what the approach they have adopted, Mr. Speaker, of getting into a county and looking at all the constituencies within that particular county. However, Mr. Speaker, I would want to ask them, because when you look at these reports, they are very old reports, 2013, 2014, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2015, 2016, those are three financial years, but very old. I would request that when you get into a county, instead of looking at only 3 years and these very old years, why not focus on all the years that we have had a report on? For example, up to, maybe including last financial year. Because as much as we get this report, Mr. Speaker, to me, it's a stale report. I want to give you an example, for example, in this report, particularly for Malava. There was an issue on cash and cash equivalents. The committee, because of the audit reports that was talking of 2010 issues, 2010, 2011, 2012, the committee had to ask the fund manager about some receipts of those particular years. And among them, there was an issue affecting year 2006. So, Madam Speaker, we have a report before us for a parliament, for the 9th parliament, because the year 2006, that's the 9th parliament. We look at the year 2010 to 2013, that is the 10th parliament. Mr. Speaker, for example, now for me, we seated here, who is in this parliament now, those are very old years. Even the MPs who are serving then and who are directly under CDF, some of them have passed on. So that this report then does not really become very useful to us who are serving the presently, who would want really to understand, because you know now MPs are not really part of the CDF. We would want also to know how managers really are performing. Mr. Speaker, on this, I want to thank the committee, because from the report of the committee, Malava has been given a clear bill because of all the issues they have raised, the issue of emergency money being used on projects that are not meant for emergency, and land. I can see in the reports, land, the issue of land, where land has been purchased, but then there's nothing to prove, there's no title to prove that land was purchased. At least for Malava, I can thank even my fund manager, who was not there then, but he ensured all these items were availed for availing. Mr. Speaker, something else I would like to urge, maybe the board, to really follow strictly. The seconder of the motion congratulated me because I was one of the constituencies that ensured all projects that I found progressing, I ensured they were completed. But, Mr. Speaker, I really suffered because for 3 financial years, I committed funds just to complete projects of my predecessor. I would that the board can really look at this and really follow strictly that if there is any project Mheshimiwa is coming up with, or NG-CDF board committee is coming up with, should be a project that must be completed within the term of that particular parliament. Because I also understand the board allows, you see, a particular phase of a project to be completed. For example, I can give an example. My brother is not here from Lurambi. There was a project, a huge project of 4 floors. The MP was there, only did a part of it. But the rest, the two MPs who have been there have not been able to complete, because the kind of money that's required there is the whole of CDF funds. Mr. Speaker, so I would that before they approve, they must ensure that this is a project that will be completed within the term of that particular parliament, for this case, 13th parliament. If it is a ghorofa of 3 floors, then it must be completed within that particular period. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, I want to thank the committee for this. This is a nice report. This like a mirror for ourselves to look through, that it projects what we are doing. And I want the Malava people, if they are listening to this, Malava constituency here, it has gotten actually a clear scorecard. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. The Honorable Wangu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise first and foremost to thank the Honorable Gideon Mulyungi and your committee for taking your time to cut across the country to see, particularly Kakamega County, the 12 constituencies, on what so far we have done in CDF. Honorable Speaker, I have been the Member of Parliament for Navaholo, which is also part of the 12 constituencies, since 2013 when we began the constituency. I was the first MP and I've run it all through to date, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the committee, especially for the issues that they have raised on cross-cutting issues. And I want to be very particular, Honorable Speaker, look at the issue that they've raised, that there was poor coordination between the Office of the Auditor General and fund account managers, Honorable Speaker, particularly regarding the timely response to audit queries. This is an issue, Honorable Speaker, that affected my constituency, and it was raised. But later on, Honorable Speaker, after the queries had been put forward, and the auditor now raised it for subsequent review, I can see the committee has reported, Honorable Speaker, that the necessary documentations were later on filed with the Auditor General, and the Auditor General had reviewed and given my constituency a clean bill, Honorable Speaker. This is very true. Being a new constituency, Honorable Speaker, we had a lot of reconciliations to hand over from Lurambi to Navaholo. And Honorable Speaker, in the process of handover, receiving and commencing a new constituency, there were issues which are now being touched in this audit. But I want to thank the committee and also thank my fund manager, Honorable Speaker, that he indeed endured time and made the necessary submissions. And today, as we speak on the floor, Honorable Speaker, my constituency is cleared. There are no issues that were outstanding, rather than presentation of papers, Honorable Speaker, to justify the expenditures, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, another cross-cutting issue that I would want to look at, Honorable Speaker, is the fund account managers, Honorable Speaker, experience challenges in adapting to the international public sector accounting standards, IPSAS, Honorable Speaker. This is an issue, Honorable Speaker, where unless we get a qualified accountant, Honorable Speaker, he might not be able to understand, and my constituent, Honorable Speaker, also experience the same. And I want to request the committee, Honorable Speaker, in their recommendation, they've given us that by 2023-24 financial year, we need to employ accountants whom, Honorable Speaker, in the year 2017, upon seeing what was happening in the accounts, I actually did engage a certified accountant in my office who is doing the reports. And Honorable Speaker, we are already compliant. And I want to thank the committee for picking it. And for those colleagues who have not done so, the committee has given you for 2023-24 that you do that, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish also to thank the committee so much in terms of, Honorable Speaker, the cross-cutting issue of instances of non-presentation of issued bursary checks, Honorable Speaker, where, Honorable Speaker, the checks are issued, but they are not presented for one reason or another, Honorable Speaker. This is a cross-cutting issue across our constituencies, and mine was not spared in terms of this issue. And that's why, Honorable Speaker, you could end up finding that there are balances on bursaries, and when the query was raised, the affected students or the schedules were filed with the Auditor General, and as we speak now, Honorable Speaker, my constituency is cleared of that, and I'm very happy with the fund account manager who handled this audit, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in overall, what I can see, Honorable Speaker, the report of the committee is a true situation of what is on the ground. The committee has reported as if, Honorable Speaker, they sit in the offices where we sit. This is a good thing, Honorable Speaker. A case like what they have picked in my constituency, Honorable Speaker, as the new MP, I had to put up a new office of the District Commission, DCC. And Honorable Speaker, the DCC was co-funded, the office was co-funded between the funds which were then in Lurambi sub-county, Lurambi constituency, added up to the funds which are now in the account of Navaholo. Honorable Speaker, that commingling of the funds had raised an query as into where did you get this fund A, money from pocket A and money from pocket B. And Honorable Speaker, upon the justification of where we got the funds being money belonging to the larger Lurambi constituency, the query was sorted and it is settled. I want to thank the committee so much for picking up such a small issues, but they represent the true fact on the ground as it happened. This is a wonderful report, and I just want to thank the 12th Parliament, Honorable Speaker, for having thought it wise that this committee be put into place so that let our constituencies also be oversighted from within. And Honorable Mulungi, I want to thank you and thank your committee for this report. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I support.
The Honorable Kuria Kimani. I know you did not get a chance to speak on the earlier matter that concerned the ladies' issues. Proceed now.
Thank you very much. You know, I really wanted to contribute to the earlier debate on the provision of these sanitary towels to our girls, but it's already gone. But if we may urge you, Honorable Speaker, and let this be the last time we are speaking about this. We talked about this, I think, 2 weeks ago. We spent a whole afternoon talking about sanitary towels for the girls. This House has already appropriated money for that, as in we should really not talk about it. But to the subject matter, Honorable Speaker, just to be, rendered out of topic. The genius in National Constituency Development Funds and the way they are run, Honorable Speaker, makes these funds the one fund that you go to constituencies across the country and you're able to identify projects that have been done, that have been completed, that have an impact to the people, that have been done at a very low cost, Honorable Speaker. Sometimes when you put side by side a classroom or constructed through NG-CDF, and another one just constructed next to it by infrastructure fund by the Ministry of Education, sometimes you find the one the Ministry of Education has costs double the amount of money that the one which is CDF have costed, and the quality is not even comparable, Honorable Speaker. I have said at the floor of this House, I am a product of NG-CDF through bursaries, through that time the patron was a former MP for Molo, the Honorable Mukiri Masharia, Wakili. And if it were not for that bursary fund, I would never have seen my way through secondary school or through my bachelor's degree at Kenyatta University. And consequently, therefore, I doubt that I would have never seen myself being in the 12th Parliament and the 13th Parliament, Honorable Speaker. Allowed the report being done by this committee, and I like the recommendations they're making, that the fund managers, that the CEO of the board be made the accounting officer of this fund. Because sometimes the auditors, when they go to audit, and sometimes when they go to verify whether these bursary checks have cleared, have been paid out to schools, and sometimes maybe the receipts are not necessarily available, or they do not take enough time to go through the documents. The reports on the papers, Honorable Speaker, allude that it is a member of parliament from that constituency who has misappropriated these funds, Honorable Speaker. And it's very important to put into record that the role of member of parliament is to be a patron of the fund and to provide guidance on how that fund is supposed to be spent, and especially providing oversight, something that is being done, for example, through the Committee on Special Funds, through the report that they have done on this, Honorable Speaker. Because the assumption sometimes the members of the public have is that members of parliament probably have a checkbook of NG-CDF where they can just issue around anything to anybody or anything, Honorable Speaker. I allowed the report and the recommendations thereof that projects being done by NG-CDF should be done to completion. When I was elected as a member of parliament in 2017, most of the projects in Molo were being allocated piecemeal funds. So where a classroom, a project would be allocated money that is not sufficient to complete that project, so consequently you have to appropriate more money the following year and the other year. And we look at overall, the import of that is that there is no value for money. Even when you go to audit the project and find out how much money was spent on that particular project, you realize that it has very many gray areas. So the constituency committee of Molo, I have instructed, when we agreed that the projects that you are funding them from start to completion, so that you'd rather have fewer projects that are complete, and that way they're available to use for the users and you get value for money, rather than having too many small projects scattered around the constituency, Honorable Speaker, that are not complete, Honorable Speaker. Through this NG-CDF, Honorable Speaker, we have been able in Molo to transform completely the education sector, including now having two tertiary institutions. You know, the Molo Technical and Vocational Training College that's now training over 800 students from across the country, a project that was started and completed through funding through National Government Constituency Development Fund. We have a KMTC that we're really pushing the Nursing Council to give us licenses now to teach nursing courses at the school. The school has a population of more than 500 students, again, drawing students from across the country. And when these students come and study in Molo, they don't just, it's not just them getting the education, but they even spur economic growth in town. We pride ourselves on having other very great institutions like the legendary St. Andrews, Turi, very well-performing schools nationally like Marymount Secondary School, Molo Academy Primary School, Molo Academy Secondary, and very well-performing even day secondary schools like Jenga Karume, Albagon Secondary, Albagon DB, among very many other schools. And therefore, this has made us an attraction an education destination in Nakuru County, where you find most parents from across the county want now to come and bring their students to come and study in Molo, Honorable Speaker. And this, again, especially during visiting days, you find businesses like one Mama Kevin's hotel there in Molo town thrive, especially when there is this visiting, Honorable Speaker. In addition, we've used the fund to enhance dignity in our public schools. You know, recently we carried out renovations on several primary schools from the whole school. That is including my former primary school, Mwangi Muchuki, Mukinyai Primary School, Maria Shoni Primary School, Turi Suruguta Primary School. And it's amazing, Honorable Speaker, when we put tiles on those classrooms, you know, the students didn't want to go back home. because they were feeling that the classrooms are now better than their homes. And I was telling them that is a sign that if they study hard, then they will also be able to live in tiled homesteads in future, Honorable Speaker. And this is now enhancing dignity to these pupils. They feel that they are not children of lesser God because they are studying in an environment that has a correct infrastructure, Honorable Speaker. There was, for secondary schools, and I really urge other members of Parliament, Honorable Speaker, the ministry is not very keen in funding laboratories or construction and equipping of science laboratories in secondary schools. And we have an even bigger problem when it comes to junior secondary schools, Honorable Speaker. And the challenge in this is that most of those students who are not able to afford to go to the big schools where they have this infrastructure, they get to have a limitation when it comes to these science subjects. You know, when you have a student going to sit for a KCSE, and that is the very first time ever they are progressing a pipette or a burette, then you don't expect them to compete competitively with the students from other big schools, like maybe Alliance and Sarahi, all of the big schools. And Honorable Speaker, being a student of having gone through a day secondary school myself, you know, I've made it a point of making sure that all our day secondary schools in Molo constituency have a complete and equipped science laboratory, Honorable Speaker. And we are 98% there. And I really urge also other constituencies to make sure they do this so that our schools have the correct infrastructure. The Kenya Kwanza Administration, Honorable Speaker, it talks about digital highway as the next frontier of spurring economic growth, Honorable Speaker. And not just it being a Kenya Kwanza administration manifesto, but it's a global thing where we have people, I get to meet people all the time saying who live here in Kenya, but they actually work in UK, they work in the USA, and they probably only have to travel physically to the office once, some even once a quarter, even once a year. And so if we are able to enhance these digital skills and computer literacy to our students by constructing ICT laboratories in our schools, we have attempted to have a pilot one in one of a few of our secondary schools, and now having ICT hubs again across the wards as the Honorable KJ, the chair of CII, is encouraging us to do. For Molo, we have identified one to start at Sachangwan, and another one we're doing a Huduma Center in Molo town, and you're hoping that the first floor of that is going to be an ICT hub, Honorable Speaker. That this enhancement of digital skills is going to make sure that these learners get the skills that are required globally, and so that when they clear whether they clear their primary school or they clear their high school, then they are able to compete competitively globally for global opportunities. Because, Honorable Speaker, this world has now become a global village thanks to the digital superhighways and use of ICT information dissemination, Honorable Speaker. And with that, I beg to support this report and urge the House to adopt the report as proposed by the Chair of the Special Funds Committee. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very well, honorable members. Supreme Care Academy, Kiamba, of Kiambu County are seated in the public gallery, and I want to acknowledge their presence and wish them well as they continue watching the proceedings of this House. Next to speak on this matter is the Honorable Malulu.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, I want to join
What's the point of order,
colleagues.
Honorable Member? Makali Mulu, just take a seat. What is the point of order?
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Being aware that tomorrow is a public holiday, and from the look of the members present in the House, I would suggest that the quorum is wanting, and therefore we should call on to ensure that we have enough quorum to continue as far as the standing orders are concerned. Thank you.
You know, you have to mention the standing order on which you are actually rising on. Honorable Makali, you may proceed.
Standing order number 35.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, before that unnecessary interruption, I want to join my colleagues in saying congratulations to this committee led by my friend, Honorable Gideon Mulyungi, and the committee members. Listening and reading through this report, Honorable Speaker, I think if we are to start discussing the success story of NG-CDF, it will take a whole year for this House to conclude on that discussion. Because this country, everywhere, every part of this country, when you travel around, you see evidence of what NG-CDF can do in changing lives of Kenyans, and more so, changing the lives of Kenyans in a positive way. So, when I listened to Honorable Gideon Mulungi present this report and trying to isolate the few areas where we need to improve, I really want to say congratulations to that committee, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, a number of observations and recommendations have been made by this committee, and I want to single a few just to explain what is happening. The first one is a situation where we have projects which are started by members of parliament, and when there's change of leadership, then those projects are never completed. And what the committee is saying is that it is important that the national board make sure that all the projects being funded are completed within the time frame of that particular honorable member, so that we don't have these projects. But a rider to that, Honorable Speaker, is that if you do proper public participation in your constituency, you realize that the projects which have been funded by all the constituencies are actually projects for the members of the public or the voters in that particular constituency. And that's why, to me, I think, honorable members, the issue of you not completing a project because the person who was before you there has lost an election doesn't make sense at all. So I think we really need to stick to that particular recommendation and make sure that it's implemented so that when a project is started, irrespective of who is the sitting member of parliament, because we are patrons, that that project is completed for the benefit of the voters in that particular area and the rest of the public members who are in that particular area. The second point, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of the bursary checks, where they are saying bursaries have been issued, but the supporting document to show that this money reached the school might not be there in one way or the other. And when you look at this report, it is discussing from 2013 coming this way for 3 years. And Honorable Speaker, I think really I would want to support a recommendation which was given by one of the earlier speakers that when you go to a county, I think it would be good just to do a report, complete report from 2013 to date, because you find year in, year out, most of the recommendations are cutting across. And it would be good just to get the reports which are up to date, so that as we move to the future, then you don't have to go back to that count again and start from 2016. Because, you know, the more back you go, then the more the report becomes irrelevant in terms of application. And I think it's important we just sort one county fully, we go to another county, we sort it fully. And this matter of bursaries, Honorable Speaker, I want to agree with Honorable Kimani Kuria when he says that majority of us who are young, you realize that most of them would not have gone to universities, would not have gone to secondary school, were it not for those bursaries to the students, Honorable Speaker. And that's why I see the issue of bursaries, we need to take it very seriously as members of parliament, because actually these bursaries have transformed families. They have transformed individuals. You realize that a family could not have afforded fees at all. By the fact that you have managed to support 1 or 2 students, that family picks up and then they move forward. And I think this is really important. So we want to encourage our honorable members that when the auditor goes out there, Honorable Speaker, it would also be important before they start saying the accounting documents are not there, to take their time and look at, did this money reach the school? Because if it reached the school and it's on a document which is not there, then we can ask for that document and it will be provided. Otherwise, it will be very unfair to have reports, Honorable Speaker, which are showing that money was never accounted for, when in reality, students are benefited out of that money. And I want to confirm to this House, Honorable Speaker, like my own constituency, if there's anything which has made me remain in this House and I'm at that time, it's the issue of bursaries. So that when we support these students, Honorable Speaker, they really appreciate, their parents appreciate, and you think we have transformed lives. And that's the reason why they think the leadership is adding value to their lives, and then they keep on voting for you when the time for elections comes, Honorable Speaker. The other point, Honorable Speaker, and this is the issue, Honorable Speaker, of the board, the managers being the accounting officers. I totally agree with Honorable Mulungi when he says that we are creating parallel centers of power, where you have the accounting officer at the headquarters here, and then you have another accounting officer at the constituency level. And this has, to some extent, pushed situations where fund managers are no longer answerable to the headquarters. And then they become like rogue fund managers. Because the board will always appoint Honorable Speaker at that lower level, some of them are not able to control these fund managers. I'm telling you, Honorable Speaker, I've shared experiences with most of my colleagues here. There are colleagues here who have changed their fund managers more than 4 times since they became members of parliament. Basically because these fund managers do not realize that their work is to facilitate. They see their work as stopping implementation and harassing locals. They forget that this position is a political position, and there is always need to balance politics and the technical work. We are saying money must be accounted for, but at the same time, projects must be seen to be implemented. There are situations where there are unnecessary delays in implementation, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, even as we support this report, I really want to say the recommendations have been put forward by this committee. We take them seriously as a committee, as a House, and immediately we adopt this report, Honorable Speaker. The Committee on Implementation should immediately take action and make sure that these good recommendations are not lost and are implemented for the benefit of Kenyans. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, I was just wondering whether the wisdom of this House creating this committee was very, very good, but I'm wondering whether with 290 constituencies and about 47 counties, whether they will have enough time to sort out all what has been done within the 13th Parliament. However, I wish that this committee could be investigated more so that we improve their budget, so that they're able to go out more there, so that within this 13th Parliament, Honorable Speaker, we are able to look at all these special funds, and then we have our recommendations, and we sort this matter once and for all. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I once more want to appreciate Honorable Mulungi for what he has done. And this is just a taste of what we have in Kitui County, Honorable Speaker. This is a taste of the kind of leaders we have in Kitui County. And I can assure you, as we move through the future, we will be seeing more of this kind of reports coming from that committee. I congratulate and wish you well. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity.
What's your point of order?
Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 35 on quorum of this House. Honorable Speaker, this House, I have a right to raise that point of order, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it is my right to raise that particular point of order.
Thank you. Thank you. The clerks confirm that we have quorum. The sergeants ring the quorum bell, the division bell, for 10 minutes. Honorable members, order, order. Order, honorable member. Take your seat. Mwalimu mwenzangu, take your seat. We are still in the House. And let's just follow the procedure. We see if we shall raise the quorum. Thank you.
My speaker, they can't leave actually. Nobody should be able to leave before the quorum.
Order, take your place.
You can't leave the house when people are, when the bell is ringing. They are leaving. What are you doing? Look at this. You cannot leave the house when the bell is ringing.
Honorable members, remember you cannot leave the house now. For those who are inside the house, you cannot leave the house.
You can't leave.
If you did not leave, then Sergeant at Arms, take your place.
You take your own medicine.
Also, the members who are asking me for another point of order, remember the house is frozen, so I cannot give you a point of order now. So let's wait for 10 minutes. Thank you. Honorable members, order, honorable members. Order, honorable members, you may take your seats. Honorable members, you may take your seats, please. Just take your place. Honorable member, yes, you're a veteran, honorable member, take your seat, please. Honorable members, a member rose from his place and drew the attention of the Speaker on Standing Order number 35 on the issue of quorum. We have since affirmed that there was no quorum at that particular time, and I've proceeded to have the division bell rang for 10 minutes. And till now, we still don't have quorum. And therefore, honorable members, you may rise. And the time being 4:52, this House stands adjourned until Tuesday, 24th October 2023 at 2:30 p.m.
Yes, let's proceed.
Let's proceed.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes.
Let's proceed.